Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Open Up. How are we doing today?
We're
Doing good.
okay. Yeah, a little tired.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a long week, hasn't it?
It has.
How are you doing, McQueen?
I'm doing good for now. Just lots of work to be done.
That's right.
Mhm.
So what are we opening up this evening?
We're opening a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon called Rare Barrels. So it's been aged in oak barrels and it's slightly sweet. It's not a dry red. It's a sweet red.
Yeah, perfect
Uh,
for this evening, isn't it?
mhm.
Yes, chill in the air. Red wine is perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And what are we opening up about today?
Today's topic is presence, and we're going to begin instead of with a poem, we're going
Mm-hmm.
to start off with a song. And while I'm a poet, I'm not really a songwriter, but this is one song that I've written that I think is okay. And so I'd
Yes.
like to share it with you. The name of it is Presence. It talks about God being present to us.
Okay, well
Oh,
let's
that's
hear it.
lovely.
Though the sky seem dark as night, I still live on. Though you think I've gone away, you are not alone. When the troubles of the world tempt you to despair, look around you one more time and you will find me there. I have made to you a promise I intend to keep. I'm with you all the time, you know I never sleep. When your troubles get too heavy and it seems I never care, it is in that moment precisely your load I bear. Fall to me and know the joy I give to those who are mine. Give to those who journey with you, share with them your wine. Light the world in my name, show them we are one. Tell them that our power of glory scarcely just begun. And though the skies are dark as night, I still live on. Though you think I've gone away, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone.
Beautiful. Thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you for this great rendition.
So tonight, gentlemen, we're going to open up about presence. Now, I want to just start off by saying I know it's a broad topic, so we
Yes.
can approach it from any angle we want. I, in the song, have chosen to approach it from God speaking to us about being present in our world, even if we don't think, that the events of the world are showing us good news. So God is reminding us, "Hey, I'm with you. Don't worry. I've got this." Also, something that I think about presence is,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, my work is sending people into ministries, and many of them are ministries of presence, which means You have to show up. You have to be there. You have to be aware and open, and looking at what things are unfolding. Some people have a hard time with that because they want to be doing something,
Yes.
and just being there is hard. So I want to just open this up to say, Antonio, you start. Tell us how a ministry of presence is important, or being present. What does that mean to you?
Well, being present, it, it could mean on a very base level to be there physically and to show up, and then on a deeper level, it means to be fully present to someone, to give them undivided attention. And so ministry of presence a lot of times feels like you're doing nothing, if because for a lot of for some ministries all you do is show up. But then I think a lot of it has to do with your approach to just showing up. So if you're just saying, okay, I'm going to be there because I have to be there for this amount of time, or I'm sent there, but I'm really not doing anything. Or recognizing, though it's difficult at times, that the fact that you show up as a minister means something to people, right? And you could think of it in the sense of like a protest, for example, and you hear people say, well, there was a priest or there was a nun, and all they do in the protest sometimes is just walk or be there, right? But it means something to people. So I think it may feel sometimes like you're doing nothing, but it gives witness to the work of God.
Beautiful. How about you, McQueen? What does presence mean to you?
I think presence means making the time for, time to listen, time to be there, a time to, like Antonio said, show up. Um, Sometimes presence just means um, giving a sense of encouragement to others, letting them know that you are here with them, no matter what they go through. Um, I think it's about seeing the person for where they are and who they are. Um, yeah, that's what I see it as. And presence in terms of ministry is, I think it goes around this whole thing of listening in your ministry. Um, like Antonio said, some people show up and maybe they, sometimes they're not present, but there are some persons who maybe show up and they give their all by showing up, and, and we have to applaud them for that too sometimes. So that's another thing about presence.
Good. I think of Jesus, and his ministry was that of presence, right? I,
Yes.
I can't imagine that he would wake up in the morning and say, okay, today I'm feeding the 4,000, and we're going to go across the lake, and I'm going to walk across the water. He didn't make those plans, but he was present to people. And when they saw him, they came to him, and some of them didn't even want to talk to him. They just wanted to be in his presence and to just touch the hem of his garment. Um, and that would be enough for them. So I think of it as, like you said, to show up and to listen, to be there as people are looking for you, and to be a sign that you care about them. It also
Yes.
says something about absence too.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about, okay, you get invited to a party and all your friends are there and you're not.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think happens? People say, "Where's McQueen? Why isn't he at the party?" So your absence speaks about your presence as
Yeah,
well.
that is true.
Yeah. What other thoughts might you have about that?
I was thinking about precisely before you mentioned the party aspect, like when you don't show up. And I think there's something to be said about there's another aspect of presence, and we use it to speak of people and say this person has presence or this person doesn't have presence, right? So there are people that show up to a party and you can't say much about that. And then there are people who don't show up to the party, and you can tell that they were that something was missing or that person wasn't there. Or when someone shows up in a room or in a party, and then the mood shifts, whether it's good or bad. Or sometimes people show up and it just everything continues the same. So I think that's another element of presence that has to do with personality and this sort of aspects, in society. And it has to do with environment. I mean, there might be people that walk into a room and everybody notices that they're there, and the same person may walk into a different setting and nothing happens. So yeah, it has to do with connections, I suppose, but also personality and whatnot.
Hmm. Father Ron talks about presence in such a way that, sometimes you bring negative energy
Oh
into the
yeah.
room, and the saying, they just suck the air out of the room, that can also
Yes.
be a negative presence. uh, if your personality is such that people want to stay away from you. Yeah.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that that's another thing that we can take a look at i- with this topic.
I was thinking of one thing about being present in the midst of nature and being grateful for everything that's around you, for the breath you breathe, for the trees, for the animals, for somebody else. Just being thankful for just being. Like I think that was one of your first topics on this podcast.
Hmm.
But that's part of presence, like being in the presence of God's creation, being in the presence of family or even your community, like our community, the Redemptorist community, showing up when it's needed. But it tells you that maybe when you take that time to settle down your soul or to be in a space of silence, that you're able to see how wonderful God is in terms of how He creates things. You tend to be very thankful, and you look at things and you say, "Oh wow, if I was a creator, maybe I would have not created that." But then you say you say to yourself, "I think it's in being present that's when you realize the things around you." Yeah.
And nature being that presence of healing, it
Yes.
just listens and it allows you to be.
Right.
So can you think of a time where your presence meant something to somebody? You want to maybe think of a story that um, just your being there made a difference to somebody.
Yes. So last week I was talking about my friend who just passed away about a month and a half ago or so. And when she was in the hospital, I was hearing like all the updates on her ups and downs through some friends that we have in common from the where she lived in the retirement community where she lived. And so I was praying for her, and I would try to text her every now and then, but she was not on her phone, so I wasn't getting anything. But I knew that I was praying for her, and finally, her son sent me a text that she was not doing okay, that she was in the hospital, and I had been hesitant to go to the hospital because I wanted to respect whatever boundaries the family had, and I knew that this was family time, and I really wanted to go. But anyway, when he reached out to me, I texted back as I thanked him for letting me know, and I said, "Please let me know if and when it's prudent for me to visit." And he said, "Anytime you want to come." And so that same day, I went over to the hospital, and she was in a really bad shape. I had never seen her that bad. I had seen her before once when she had come out of the hospital and when she wasn't doing well, and all of that, and we'd spoken on the phone before. But she was really bad, and we didn't think she was gonna make it at that point. And the next day, I promised her that I'd go back the next day. At the first day when I went there, she was in the ICU. The next day I went, she was out of the ICU and she been given a room and she was looking ahead. And it was such a change. And I'm not saying that it's because I showed up. I mean, the doctors did their work, and she had some ulcers and whatnot, and that they had tackled, and that was detrimental, and it was very important for her to get better. But her son was saying that her mood did change because we did have a very special relationship. So that was something, that the presence made a difference in that.
Is it easy for you to go visit the sick?
No. I don't think it's easy for anybody. But it is very different when you love people. um it's not easy to see them in those situations, but it does. I feel like love does drive us to go, even if you know that it's not going to be easy, because you can leave out of there pretty drained and pretty sad, and wishing that they were not there. um but yeah, it's not easy.
Mhm. Thank you. What about you, McQueen?
Um,
When
I was thinking of my clinical pastoral program that I did in New York, where it was a whole ministry of presence. For some reason, going to the hospital, persons of other cultures had lots of families around them. And for the American culture, there seems to be a difficulty where family members show up for some persons. So in that my clinical pastoral education program in New York at Mercy Hospital, there was s- I think many patients that I visited, I would say that was very grateful for me just being there. I didn't even have to say much. I just had to just sometimes show up and just sit with them, and I did not even have to utter a word. Sometimes I just sat there like for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and they were just so happy because somebody came. And then there was this one guy who I visited, and he said he has no family, you know. Well, no, his family is in another state, and he didn't let them know that he was in this situation. He was at the hospital, and we were having a little bit of a conversation, and then he's like, "I'm gonna call my family to let them know that I'm here," because I think it changed his way of thinking. Because he was there alone, and I told him that it's not only the doctors that could help you with your healing. You do need a support team that will come to help you spiritually and to bring joys around you. And sometimes you have to tap into this joyful moments. Sometimes you had with your family to get your mind out of that space where you constantly thinking of your medical problem or maybe relationship issues. But that just showed me that in that ministry that I was in, that not even saying much or just being there had an impact on the person themselves, wanting them to wanting them to be thankful and or grateful for just showing up for them when other persons are very far away and are unable to show up at the time that is needed.
very
Uh-huh.
good.
Yeah.
So you saw that yourself in the hospital setting,
Yes.
and people were grateful to be visited by you. That's really good.
Yeah.
For me, being present usually means showing up at an event, even if I don't really feel like I want to go.
Mm.
Um, some examples. So, in my job, I get to go to a lot of ordinations and other religious celebrations. And sometimes it's like, another one, you know. Uh, and I'm like, okay, well, and I don't go to all of them, of course. I can't possibly do them all. But when I do go and I am seen, I try not to be real obvious. When it was during COVID and we were all wearing masks,
Mm-hmm.
nobody recognized me because I had changed the color of my hair and
Oh.
I was wearing a mask. And I just walked among people that I knew and they didn't recognize me. So it was kind of fun. I felt like I had a cloaking device on, and,
Yeah.
until I would stop and say, "Hi, it's me." Uh,
Mm.
so I think just being present. people are like, "Oh, we're so glad you're here." So,
Right.
and I didn't have a role, didn't have to do anything. I just showed up,
Yeah.
and I think that while that is easy, the hard part is getting oneself up, ready, and out, and arrive on time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
yes. So, when was someone present to you that you appreciated? It's like this really made your day, or it really helped you through a situation. Can you think of an instance where someone was present to you and it made a difference to you?
Um, I can. When I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, living in a community with all the in the Redemptorist community with all the persons, um, that sense of loneliness came where you wanted to maybe, you know, I was in a new community. It was in the Denver province. There's persons over there that I don't know fully, and I had to get to know them, and get acquainted with them. And in communities when you would get together for prayer, we get together for lunch and evening prayer again, and then we go to the mass. But then there was nothing more. We in the student house in San Antonio, we have so many things where there's always people around. You're able to go. Um, you will have Friday formation family night where you play games. You sometimes maybe go out with one of the brothers in the house, but in that time there was none of that. I was in a community where the older men they worked in the parish, they did all the job, so all they do they retrieve back to their rooms, and I am the one with all of the energy, and I'm like, okay, so what do we do? Um, so I had to call my no no my friend called me, and then she's like, hey, how are you doing? I said I'm doing okay, and then I went for a little drive, and I was in a call with her, and I said, she's in Connecticut. She's my cousin, but my friend also. She lives in Connecticut, and I said to her, "Oh my God, this life is a lonely life," and I'm just starting to realize how when we go out in ministry, it's going to be a lonely life in terms of because I just went into a place that I wasn't sure about. And then she sat there and she said, you made the choice, you choose this life for yourself, you have to work through it. It doesn't mean that you always need to have persons around you. She said, sometimes this is the best moment for you to know more about yourself. And then, she's the one who's not normally going to church every Sunday. She's the one telling me, go sit in the chapel and pray. So I was like, oh, I was about to say a word, but I'm not to the word. I said to her, "Oh, so this is what you." I wasn't expecting that from her,
Right.
which is funny. And then I sat back and I said, "Okay, well, being there and listening to what she had to say about what I should be doing in that time when I was feeling lonely. Why don't I go to the chapel? Why don't I bring it up to God?" But I wasn't thinking about that. In all of my energy, I wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to go to a restaurant. I want to laugh. I want to talk. But she's sending me, go talk, go laugh over there, go laugh in the chapel. That's why you have one in the house. And these things never came to me, but I realized how she being present and giving me all of these instructions allowed me to realize myself, oh, it was my choice, freely chosen. I took those vows. So why don't I work on myself in that point of time of my life? So I'm very thankful for her. Her name is Carlos and Bryce, and we've been friends. Well, we were in the same youth group and everything, and we've been good friends and cousins. We spent time together, and I was happy that somebody who is not a practicing Catholic as much as she used to, told me what I, a seminarian, I, a religious, a frater, should do in my life in times of loneliness. But
her
yeah,
her presence, in a way, invited you to think about being in the presence of God. Yeah,
Yes.
to take it to the chapel, take it in prayer so that God could be present to you and you could be present to God.
Right.
How about you, Antonio?
Yes. So again, I'm gonna go back to my friend who recently passed away, in the story of another friend who passed away. And I think I mentioned it in the last episode or a couple of episodes ago, that last year in December, my good friend John had passed away. And I remember when I woke up in the morning to several missed calls and a lot of messages, and waking up and like finding out that my friend passed away. And it was shocking. So I made the call, called right back to the people that had called me to let me know. And they said, his body's here until 9 a.m. If you want to come say goodbye, we think he would have liked for you to be here because you guys were very close friends. And so I said, okay, well, let me get ready and go. And so when I knew that I was going, I wish I would have uh, had something prepared for when I got there to do like a little prayer with the people that were around or whatever. But you don't prepare for these things unless they're in the hospital. My friend wasn't in the hospital; he'd made it out, and he was home for a while. In fact, and on my Facebook memories, some stuff just came up of like a visit that I had made with another friend, and sometimes we spent together. So anyway, I called my friend because she led the church, I guess, in the retirement community where she lived, and they had prayers of the faithful. So I called her, and or I texted her, I think, and I said, my friend just passed away. His name is John so and so. Can you make sure that you guys pray for him today at church? And she said, of course we will add him to the prayers and whatever. So I got ready. I got in the car and I went over to visit my friend. And when I was on my way, she called me again, and I picked up the phone, and she asked me how I'm feeling. And she was just kind of going through it with me, like, how are you feeling now? Are you okay? Do you feel emotional? This and that and the other. And I said, I'm still kind of in shock. And she says, have you cried? And I said, not yet. Um, and she says, have you ever seen a dead body before? And I said, no, never. And she said, okay, well, when you get there, it might be shocking. But I want you to know that it is okay to hug him or to kiss him and to say goodbye. And it's okay to cry. And, she kind of was walking me through all of this, because I mean, for one, she had lost her husband several years back, a few years back, and I'm sure she's experienced losses as well. And to me, in the moment, I was just kind of going through it and saying thank you, and just taking it all in. But it meant a lot to me to have someone who has gone through something like this walk me through it and just kind of let me know, okay, it's okay to do this and it's okay to cry, and let me know if you need anything. And then a day later or so, she called me again and checked in on me. How are you doing with all of this? So that was a very good ministry of presence. She
Mm-hmm.
was really good at doing that. I mean, not just with me, but with a lot of people. And you
Mm-hmm.
knew her, so yeah.
Yes, exactly. So she was there for you
Yeah.
and she recognized what you were going through and was really present to you.
Yeah.
We talk about those pastoral skills of, you know, having eye contact with people,
Hmm.
with, having the body language that says, I'm listening, I'm paying attention. Um,
What about
what,
you?
what
Your
are, who was
who
there
was
for
present
me?
for you?
Well, I'm trying to think of. Okay, I think a time that really meant a lot to me, the presence of people really meant a lot, was when my husband passed away.
Hmm.
And people coming to my door, I didn't think people did that anymore. I thought that was something that my parents' generation did, that they
Oh.
would go and visit, the bereaved. Well, that happened to me. Neighbors came, they brought food, they sat with me. One of them took down my Christmas decorations because he passed away January 6th.
Oh.
Oh.
And it was before I kept lights up all the time,
Yeah.
but she made it her ministry, I guess, to not only be there for me, but also to take care of things that she knew I couldn't tend to at the
Yeah.
moment. And I think that really speaks very loudly. People who recognize what you're able to do in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
what you're not able to do, and come and just share their generous spirits with you. And for me, that was really a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, what are some obstacles that we have to being present to people? What keeps us from being present?
Our cell phones.
Yeah.
Our cell phones.
Our cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at me.
We
I'm
live in right. We live in a day and age. Like I'm always checking my mine whilst we're on this podcast, like trying to see whether a message come in. So, and even when I'm with my friends, I do. I am on my phone. Sometimes I'm on a call and I'm with somebody. I don't give them the full attention, but I'm listening to both of the conversations because maybe it's like a bad habit that I have grown into, but I know that it's one of the distractions, an obstacle by me being on the phone and then somebody's asking a question, but I'm listening to both of them. Yeah.
Hmm. I think also the misconception of what being present for someone means. So, like, if you need to listen to someone, to think that you have to make them feel better, or to want to fix their problems, or to, as opposed to just sitting with them. Because a lot of times what people want, it's not for you to solve their problems, but just to have someone hear them out, to have, instead of speaking into the void, to just talk to say it to somebody, and that you just sit there and say, okay. And I think it's our human nature a lot of times, it's not comfortable with sitting with someone who is not going through a good time, and we always want to make them feel better, and make sure that they're okay. And it's really not our job to do that. If that happens, praise the Lord. But if it doesn't happen, it's not your job. And I think that's what gets in the way of really being present, because you're thinking, what am I going to say to this person? What can I do to make them feel better? What can I say? And so it's just to recognize that that's not our job.
hmm
Yeah.
those are all really good obstacles. I would add to that, time is another
Yeah.
obstacle. It's like we're all very busy people, and
Right.
I know that in a given day, I might overschedule myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that means then I have less time to be present to someone who might need my,
Your full attention.
yeah, my attention, my full
Yeah.
attention. So, yeah, so overcoming those obstacles, what would you say, a tip that we can share with our listeners, a tip for overcoming the obstacles of not being present to others?
Don't overthink it.
That's a good one.
Maybe put away the phone,
Mm-hmm.
when somebody's around you. Lay it down maybe for 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah, that could be one of them.
That's a good one too. Yes, that you don't you don't always have to answer everything that pops up on the phone, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really good piece of advice. And I try to remind myself, my thing is, okay, what are you doing right now? I'm right here in this
Mm-hmm.
moment. So practicing being in the present moment by reminding myself, what am I doing? I'm here. I am
Yeah.
right here. I don't have to be thinking about tomorrow. I don't have to be thinking about what happened last week, but I can actually be right here, right now.
Right. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So, our challenge to our listeners
Mm-hmm.
is, I want to give you homework. I want you to think about the many ways that you were present to others this past week. And as you kind of look at how well you did that, maybe you can practice it again next week and be a little bit more mindful of being in the present moment.
Yes. Very
Right.
good.
And everyone will get an A.
That's the best kind of homework.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you guys very much. Thank you for everyone listening at home, and we expect, or we hope, not expect, but we hope to have you listen to us on the next episode of Up and Up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Please send some
Bye.
responses.